Today we're spearfishing Buffels. Water's looking very nice and flat here. It's like a dam. A bit of wind coming through, but yeah, hopefully that goes away. But yeah, so I've got my Ravitech suit and then my nice roller spear gun, and then my plastic little Rob Allen fins, and then my homemade little boogie board. But yeah, let's hope we get some fish today. It's looking like quite a good day. Water feels pretty cold. Hope you guys enjoy.
And welcome back to another video, guys. So today I'm mainly targeting galjoen. I really like hunting them. They're very fun fish to hunt. But yeah, I'm putting on my flippers and getting ready to hop in water. I really like the spots I'm getting in here now. I always get in and get out here. It's a very easy spot to swim out and swim back into because it's sheltered from the swell, so it's always flat in here. So yeah, it's always easy to get out on the rocks and take a gear off or put your gear on. This is the first dive of the day, and I could see the water was crystal clear. Yeah, there were a lot of fish sitting on the surface. And yeah, I'm just sinking down to the bottom very slowly, making a few grunts, and you can see all the fish come in and sit around me. There's a nice John Brown that swims there, a bit small. I don't like shooting them too small, but yeah. But what I like doing when I'm hunting galjoen is I like looking for ledges. They love swimming on those ledges. The galjoen also love the current, so I try to find a ledge with a bit of current on it. But yeah, I found this nice little spot. There's a small galjoen there. But the spot, it's nice because there's a nice ledge. I was lying on top of a rock and there's a ledge on the bottom of it. Quite a lot of fish life here. And then there's a nice white steenbras there, a bit undersized. And then there's two galjoen. The right one was definitely the bigger one, and I was shooting through the kelp there. This galjoen ended up measuring 40 centimeters, so not a bad sized one. So this is a very nice spot to dive on here. So the galjoen, they love these spots like this, where there's kelp behind you there, and there's some big rocks like this with cracks and ledges, and they often swim there. And then if you look, when I look to the left here, there's like this opening. They love that opening, so they'll swim along those cracks where the kelp ends. So they like swimming there. Often find galjoen in these areas. As you can see, there's just lots of fish today. I sometimes like doing when I'm hunting galjoen is I sometimes will swim on the surface, but like I swim very slowly, I barely even kick my flippers, and I'll see the galjoen swim under me, and then I would dive after them, but very slowly. You'll see, yeah. So I was doing that, and I saw it swim, so I dove after it very slowly, very slow kicks, and he swims it, and he turns to check me out. I'm just acting very calm, not rushing the shot, and then shooting. And then what happens here is he tangles himself in that kelp there at the bottom. So yeah, I'm diving to untangle him from the kelp. Yo, I hate it when the fish do this. It's so, I always struggle to find where the line's stuck. You can never really see. So it's always a bit of a mission trying to get him out of this kelp. But eventually I just start pulling the line and hope something it frees, and yeah. But I eventually get the line unstuck and I pull the fish to the surface. This galjoen measured in at 41 centimeters, so it's also a pretty decent size. Yeah, I have a nice copper steenbras swim past me. It's undersized, but it's very cool seeing their population increasing again. Now I love spots like this where there's like a sandy patch there. The fish always sit there, and yeah, you can see, but there were just mainly hundreds of Hottentot. There's a few white steenbras swimming here. There's one swimming at the back there. But they're mainly all undersized. There's no sized ones. They're about, some are pushing the 40 centimeters and some are like only 20-30 centimeters. So yeah. But yeah, I saw this nice ledge and opening. I knew there would be a galjoen sitting there, and yeah. This next dive, I'm diving and I see this nice ledge on the top there, and I already knew that there'll be a galjoen sitting there, and there he swims on top there. But I was just slowly swimming up to the ledge, not making any sudden moves, to see if there's something sitting on the other ledge there that I could shoot. But yeah, I found this very nice reef with hundreds of fish on it, and very colourful, very cool diving in these reefs like this. But yeah, there's red roman and Hottentot. I even saw small mussel cracker. There's butterfish. And, so much fish here in this area. There's a small galjoen that swims past there. A lot of smaller red roman. I didn't find any sized ones. There probably were a few sized ones, but like only 30 centimeters. I don't like shooting them that small. I only shoot ones that are about 35 centimeters. But this was a very cool dive. I found this opening here. I'm slowly creeping through the kelp, and there were just like 100 different species of fish here. There's butterfish, there's galjoen swimming around, there's white steenbras, there's black dot, there's even a white stump nose that swims there. There's zebrafish. Very fishy area this. But there's also a nice current pushing through here, and galjoen love that current, so yeah. Now this is a very special dive, so I'm just sitting here lying on this like crack. There's a galjoen that swims, basically hits the tip of my spear. There's another galjoen that swims past there. There's a couple smaller butterfish, decent sized ones. And then I was about to head back to the surface, and I looked off to my right and I just saw this big brown like fish, and I was trying to figure out what it was, and I realized it was a butterfish. And then I realized that's one of the biggest ones I've ever seen, so I decided to shoot it. And then I started pulling it up and started fighting, and I've never had a butterfish ever fight me before, so I knew it was a big fish. And every time I pulled it closer, it just got bigger and bigger. This butterfish ended up being a new SA record. It measured in at 55 centimeters and weighed 2.145 kilograms. I was heading back in after shooting that fish, and I saw these mackerel swim in the kelp here. And often what I find is when the baitfish are swimming in the kelp, something's chasing them, so they swim in the kelp to get away from the predators. So yeah, I'm just looking at them, enjoying the view. But after this dive, I decided to head out because I thought there would be a few yellowtail and maybe bonnies that were swimming out there that were chasing these fish into the kelp. I did end up seeing a few yellowtail and a few bonita, but they were very skittish. I didn't manage to get any of them on camera. But yeah, as I was heading out, there was this nice spotted gully shark that was swimming at the bottom there. So I dove and decided to just swim with him and check him out. Very cool sharks to swim with. They're very calm and docile. So I didn't have my flash with me, so what I was doing is I was just swimming in this bait. I was looking for the bait and diving with where they are, because the yellowtail and bonnies would be chasing the bait. So quite a lot of baits here, and I'm just diving down and seeing what's going on at the bottom. This next dive, there were just owls and galjoen that just came in and started circling me. There must have been about at least 50 in the shoal of galjoen, and 90% of them were sized. Yeah, there were a few undersized ones, but most of them were sized. It's very cool seeing galjoen in big shoals like that. This next dive, I actually was diving and there was a knife trawl that swam here. They're quite rare fish to find in False Bay. You do find them, but you have to have certain spots to find them. And then I decided to head in after that dive, and I wanted to shoot one more butterfish, so I dove in the kelp here and found a nice little spot with current, and I dove here. And then I just lie on the bottom and I grunt a bit to see if anything comes in. There's a nice little reef fish that swims there, and then there's a butterfish that came in, and I wanted to shoot it, but it was like hovering over this rock, and I didn't want to shoot my spear into the rock, so I just waited for him to move. I'm just lying there and waiting for him to move, and eventually he moves a bit up, and he almost swims off, but then I stoned him right there. I just got
out the water. My GoPro died, so I'm using my phone. But yeah, it was a good dive. There were lots of fish. There were bonita, yellowtail. I didn't get any of it on camera, but yeah, there were lots. Hundreds of cullies, but this is what I shot today. I shot 2 nice cullies, a nice butterfish there, and an absolute monster. The thing's like, yeah, he's just huge. Massive, massive butterfish. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video.